This is why you need a good engineer in your life. When things go sideways, sometimes literally, engineers are the ones who step in, roll up their sleeves, and figure out how to save the day. And nowhere is that more true than in the story of the Leaning Tower of Pisa, a tale that's equal parts disaster, genius, and a dash of Italian flair. The Leaning Tower of Pisa was in serious trouble. For centuries it had been the world's most famous architectural oops, a beautiful bell tower that just couldn't stand up straight. But by the late 20th century, the situation had gone from quirky to downright dangerous. The tower wasn't just leaning, it was threatening to topple over entirely, putting centuries of history, art, and pride at risk. Let's see how a team of brainiacs saved this world wonder. It took more than just clever calculations. It took creativity, teamwork, and a willingness to try the unexpected. The story of how they did it is a masterclass in problem solving. And it all started with a simple question. How do you fix a tower that's been leaning for over 800 years? When the Leaning Tower of Pisa started tipping in the 1100s, everyone thought, hey, it adds character. Back then, the tower's tilt was more of a curiosity than a crisis. Medieval visitors would marvel at the odd angle, and locals even took pride in their famously off-kilter landmark. The lean became part of Pisa's identity, a symbol of resilience and charm. Fast forward to the 1990s, and the quirky lean was looking a lot more like about to collapse. The tower's tilt had grown year after year, and what was once a gentle slant had become a precarious angle that made engineers and tourists alike break out in a cold sweat. The city of Pisa faced a terrifying possibility. Their beloved tower could come crashing down at any moment. The tilt had reached 5.5 degrees, just a sneeze away from disaster. To put that in perspective, that's about 4.5 meters, or nearly 15 feet, off vertical at the top. Imagine standing at the base and looking up, knowing that the entire structure was slowly, inexorably inching closer to collapse. It was a race against time, and the world was watching. So what did the engineers do? They didn't panic. Instead, they assembled an international team of experts, geotechnical engineers, architects, historians, and even soil scientists. Their mission? Save the tower without destroying its unique character. It was a challenge that required not just technical know-how, but also a deep respect for history and culture. First, they tried stacking 600 tons of lead on the north side. Yep, they literally put the tower on a diet of heavy metal. The idea was to counterbalance the lean by weighing down the higher side, hoping gravity would help nudge the tower back toward vertical. It was a bold move, and for a while it seemed to help. But the sight of massive lead weights cluttering the piazza wasn't exactly what the city fathers had in mind for their picturesque landmark. It helped a bit, but it wasn't exactly a long-term fix or a good look for the piazza. Next, they tried anchors. These were huge steel cables and supports, designed to physically hold the tower in place and prevent further movement. The engineers hoped that by anchoring the base, they could stop the lean from getting worse while they worked on a permanent solution. But surprise, the tower started leaning even faster. Not ideal. In fact, the anchors actually made things worse, destabilizing the delicate balance of forces that had kept the tower standing for so long. It was a classic case of unintended consequences, and it sent the engineers scrambling for a new plan. Back to the drawing board. The team realized that brute force wasn't the answer. They needed a solution that worked with the tower's unique foundation and the soft shifting soil beneath it. That meant thinking outside the box, and maybe even beneath it. Enter the real hero, under excavation. This was a technique that had never been tried on such a scale before, and it required nerves of steel. The idea was simple in theory, but incredibly tricky in practice. Instead of pushing the tower upright, they would carefully remove soil from under the raised north side, allowing gravity to gently settle the tower back toward vertical. Instead of pushing the tower upright, they delicately removed soil from under the raised north side. This process, called under excavation, required incredible precision. Too much soil removed too quickly, and the tower could tip or crack. Too little, and nothing would change. The engineers worked in tiny increments, constantly monitoring the tower's movement with lasers and sensors. Think of it like letting the tower slowly sink its way back to safety. No gym membership required. It was a delicate dance between gravity and geology, and every step had to be choreographed perfectly. The team even practiced on scale models before touching the real thing, just to make sure they got it right. Over a year, they carefully drilled 41 holes, removing about 70 tons of soil. Each hole was only a few centimeters wide, but together, they made a huge difference. The process was slow, painstaking, and at times nerve-wracking. Engineers worked around the clock, sometimes pausing for days to let the tower settle before continuing. Every move was calculated, every risk weighed. The result? The lean shrank by half a degree, enough to keep the tower standing for centuries. That might not sound like much, but it was a monumental achievement. The tower was stabilized, its future secured, and Pisa's most famous resident could keep charming visitors for generations to come. And yes, it still leans, because who wants a perfectly straight Pisa? The engineers knew that the lean was part of the tower's magic, its personality. They didn't want to erase history. They wanted to preserve it, quirks and all. Today, the Leaning Tower stands as a testament not just to medieval ambition, but to modern ingenuity and respect for the past. Engineering, patience, and a little Italian magic. Sometimes, the best fix is the cleverest one. The next time you see the Leaning Tower of Pisa, remember the team of engineers who saved it with a blend of science, creativity, and a whole lot of clay magic. It's proof that with the right minds and a bit of daring, even the world's biggest problems can be solved, one careful scoop of soil at a time.